right, thank you for staying with the Daybreak. We have my guest in studio speaking about 2 years down the line. How has the government performed? And the government is not just about the executive. There's also the legislature and the judiciary as well. We'll touch on that shortly. But my guests are with me here in studio. Eric Omondi, an activist, is here with us. Thank you so much for making time. Dorcas Nyokavi, governance commentator, is with us as well. Asante for making time. Buka Omole, National Vice Chair, Communist Party of Kenya. Thank you very much for making time. And Kariuki Ngunjiri, National Youth Leader, UDA. Thank you very much for making time. And, you know, Eric, we were talking about the performance of the Kenya Kwanza government, but it's not just the executive. How have the legislators themselves performed? Because when you started this conversation, you said that you gave them a 2. How have the legislators performed, the members of parliament?
We do not currently have a legislature. We have a parliament that is working in cahoots, is in bed with the executive. The president bought all the MPs from the word go. We saw it live on while the sun is up. All the MPs, the entire legislature was bought by the executive. And Trevor, this government, nothing is working for them. Everything they touch is doomed, yeah? And the reason that is because it is a blood-based government. This is an entirely blood-based government. And the blood of the young people who are killed will not settle until they get what they deserve, yeah? Trevor, airport workers are on strike. Teachers are on strike. Taxi drivers are on strike. Doctors are on strike. Students are on strike. Yesterday, Mama Mbogas were on strike. Schools are burning. Ni kama Cain in the Bible. God is not with the Kenya Kwanza government. Mungu aliwaacha kitambo, ni kama ile story ya Saul na David. God is not with this government. Yeah. The parliament of Kenya is null and void. Kenyans voted a vote of no confidence on them. They voted against Kenyans during the Finance Act. And what the government needs to do is to first dissolve the parliament. Because Kenyans do not have trust. They do not trust the parliament at all. The members of parliament do not represent their views. They do not represent the people. They don't listen to the people. Ever since they went back to the parliament, they have not spoken about the young people who died. They have not spoken about the new funding model that is causing students to be on strike. They have not spoken about anything that concerns Kenyans. The members of parliament are not with Kenyans. And remember that they're supposed to be representative of the people. Trevor, we are going to call for a national unified demonstration. Tunaenda kushikanisha watu wa airport, tushikanishe watu wa taxi, tushikanishe mama mboga, tushikanishe madaktari, tushikanishe walimu, tushikanishe wanafunzi. We're going to have the mother of all demonstrations, and the demands are very clear. President William Samoei Ruto, dissolve the parliament. Number 2, President William Samoei Ruto, fire your cabinet. Those are the initial demands. He fired them, he rehired them. There's nothing he did apart from introducing the blood-based government. And this government will know no peace. Spiritually, mentally, psychologically, physically, economically, they will know no peace until the blood of the young people we lost. Yeah.
You were in Tononoka the other day. What was the message you took there?
The message I took there was concerning over-representation.
Okay.
The national government, hakuna kitu inawaka. County government are worse. I told you we have governments buying a bottle of soda for 1 million, buying wheelbarrows at 3 million. Governors are globetrotting. Wengine wako wameshikwa sijui wapi na pesa ngapi. The message we took to Tononoka was we need to reduce the number of counties from 47 to 8. We need to reduce over-representation. How many CSS do we have?
21.
21. How many PSS do we have?
More than 50.
69. We have 21 CSS, and 69 PSS. We need to have exact number of PSS as the number of CSS. Trevor, why do we have a government spokesman and a state house spokesman? Tuko na spokesman wa state house na tuko na spokesman wa government. What are we doing? Is in the state house the government? Is in President Ruto the government? So nani anaongea nini? Ule mtu anaongea State House na ule mtu anaongea government. Government ni nini? The house on the hill represents the government. We have one spokesperson.
Okay. So you think that it should be leaner?
The government should be leaner.
Okay.
We should have, and most of these parastatals are also overlapping. Yeah, we need to do away with this is what we're asking the government, and we are giving the government. Now, who are we? The people. I'm here representing Kenyans.
Yeah.
We are giving the government 1 week. Unaona ile mande ya chini, we're going to mobilize all these people to go back to the street. Na tuone kama hiyo government yake, hiyo blood-based government itamsaidia.
Okay.
We demand that the president dissolves the parliament because they no longer represent the people. Ajongelea hata stories zili happen. Number 2, we demand the president to dismiss the cabinet.
Again?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he dismissed, right? You cannot fire and rehire. So why did you fire?
Okay. Let me bring in Nyokavi on this. Nyokavi, what is your assessment of the performance of the legislators now, the members of parliament?
Okay, actually, we don't have members of parliament. We have few. Number one, we don't even have opposition in this government. All of them are in bed with government. My friend said here, like last regime, they didn't give vice president funds and everything that to work with, right? I want to ask, is it why you are doing the same to our vice president? Yesterday there was, yes, yesterday there was like all these shenanigans of Mount Kenya MP's region.
Yeah.
Number one, there is nobody sent them. I'm from Mount Kenya. Nobody sent them. Like, who brought this primacy, mediocrity of kingship? Will we eat kingship? We are not going to eat kingship. We are not. These members of parliament were elected for them to go represent our people. Not all these mediocrity. Another thing, when, let's say, for example, when our youths were killed, they never met and gathered and see how. Actually, one of them said youths from Mount Kenya, 20,000 of youths from Mount Kenya were hired to come and demonstrate. And actually, 200 youths are missing in Mount Kenya. So I don't know. I would like to ask, are those the, we want to know the names and of those 20, because he knows better. We want to know the names and everything. Another thing, you are elected to go, if you check the list of those Mount Kenya region MPs who went there and met, there are those MPs who voted finance bill. Yes. You can see even the area MP was there parading. Look at the roads. 2 months ago, 2 kids died in Minor Village and were burned by fire tragedy. There is no these fire brigades. There is nothing in the county and everything. Instead of them focusing with the problem that Wanjiko have, they are busy focusing who will be the kingpin, who will do this, who will do this, who will do. What kind of nonsense is that? Even if you have an issue with a single individual, you better not include it with the normal Mwananchi who elected you. We were elected to go represent Wajiko, not to go bring your own kingpin, this one, this one. Our Deputy President Gachagua have now actually changed. He's now working. He's the only sober person, I guess, in this government who have interest at heart with these people. I will say that, and I will say it again and again and again. He's the only person who have interest at heart with the common Mwananchi. The rest, hakuna kitu inaendelea. And I will say it
in broad daylight.
Yes. And I can take it to the bank.
There's already a split there because there are those who are saying.
Because, okay, fine, they brought Kindiki, it is their whatever. We on the kingpin were our MPs. Actually, they are MPs, not MPs. They are the kingpin, who on the kingpin wow. As we don't want kingpin, we did ask that we are hungry for kingpin. What we want is accountability and the development. We don't want kingpin.
Okay. Buka, how have the legislators performed?
First of all, the legislators, the President William Samoei Ruto, when he got into power, and I can correctly say that he was never interested to obey the rule of law that gives the parliament its independence. In fact, the first thing he did was to shop for the opposition leaders to build numbers to prepare for his raw government. So essentially, we have a government that is aligned ideologically. The executive and the parliament are working, on the same interest. And we were not surprised that even this IMF-backed finance bill, the MPs had to be mobilized to State House. And now we have reasons to believe that those MPs did not go there to discuss how the finance bill will affect the ordinary people, but how they are going to receive money to actually vote for this government. And it has been in public domain. But most importantly, I sympathize with my Mr. Ngujiri here. It is a confirmation that the youth are not just youth. They are youth that will want to support corruption, and they're youth that will want to support lies. Just like during the fight for independence, did we have the Home Guards? They were people who were not interested in the development of this country. When some of the youths have died in the streets, and this government hand is full of blood, and then you see a few youths coming to defend it, it's pretty annoying, Trevor. So what we are saying that the debate around whether Ruto can work or not, or Kenya Kwanza government, is no longer debate anymore. In fact, this government is beyond reform. What we should be organizing to make sure that this government falls on its own weight. Because if we allow them to stay even one day in power, it basically means children are still going to die in the hospital without medication. That means runaway theft of public resources are still going to continue. So we don't have any interest for sustaining Kenya Kwanza government, even one day in government. Now, there are other things that Ngujiri has said that I think needs to be debunked a bit. For example, the president's policy to provide employment for the people is an all-time low. You cannot say that you're going to sign, contracts with foreign governments to give people jobs. We gave President Ruto mandate to actually accelerate industrialization in our country, to make sure that we are employed with dignity here, not to auction us. In fact, now he's a broker for slaves to go and work abroad. He's so, and then they market it as if it is a good thing that people are leaving the country to go and work abroad. We don't have nurses here. Now, how many nurses have we lost in the last 2 years to go abroad to seek for work? While when you go to the hospital, they are understaffed. We don't have doctors. So we just have a government that is continuing whoring around this country to the best, to the highest bidders. He talks about, and this is very annoying, a hustler fund that was anchored on a failed experiment of free enterprising, where you think you can borrow money, you can give people money like $5 or $1 to go and sell groundnuts here, and then you tell us you're giving us jobs. This is total rubbish. What we are saying that President William Samoei Ruto is a man that is not just, in fact, we used to say that maybe he is captured. Now we can confirm that President William Samoei Ruto is actually captured by foreign interest. He does not make a decision on his own basis. This thing being peddled here that we are talking about the affordable housing. A bedsit of 1.4 million is affordable to the people that are living in informalized areas in Kibera, in Mathare. How will they afford a bedsit of 1.4 million? It is total shame that this government is giving free land. They're giving private sector land for free, and then they tax us to build the same housing and then sell the same housing to us, and they sell the same housing to their friends. So President Ruto is just taking us for a ride. He's not interested completely to advance the interest of the young people.
All right.
And very finally, yes, we have to continue to advance that what people are asking for is not about a tribal mobilization. We do not want tribal mobilization. President William Samoei Ruto already said he will never do tribal mobilization. So in his Luo offensive the other time, I was very angry at him when he went there and said it is the first time, the Luo Luo is owning treasury. First of all, he has to be clear with us that Luos are not just Luos. We have the elite Luos, and then we have the poor majority Luos. The poor majority Luos does not have a space in this government. Only a few billionaire Luos that want to continue to cut deals with these criminals that are in government. Now, for Nyokabi, I sympathize when you're saying that Gachagua is actually the most sane person. I thought Gachagua represents the worst of the Mount Kenya community.
I don't think so.
In a sense that...
I'll give you a chance to respond. Just let him finish.
Yeah. So in a sense that, for example, this is guy who says, you know, he talks about Mirima. These 72 kids that are missing the other day, we didn't hear a bold response to even say that he was going to get out of government because the attack was on Mount Kenya. And the Mount Kenya that Gachagua is representing is not the landless Mount Kenya people. It is not the poor Mount Kenya people. He is a man interested to consolidate only power among the Mount Kenya billionaires to try and advance his own political agenda. So what we are seeing that the youth of this country are concerned about the majority of the Mount Kenya people that are being attacked, for example, in Peketoni, that are being attacked in Taita Taveta. These are squatters. If you go to Mount Kenya, the biggest problem, sometimes I wonder when you say that Mount Kenya people have been in government for a long time, but the poverty there is also very high, especially landlessness. And we don't see any deliberate effort by the deputy government to address the landless issue other than his quarrels. And if we go historically with Gachagua, we'll even debunk you further. This is a man that was cleaned from corruption from the past. When did he ever answer to corrupt charges when he was the deputy president? So let's not just say we are fighting for a change and we are fighting for the entire political class to fall. Those people who have been stealing. So if we continue to defend the most corrupt people that we have, in fact, all of them, Gachagua and President William Samoei Ruto, supported dictator Moi honestly and even made windfalls out of it. Their political, CV has been built on the blood of the poor Kenyan people. Not that the ones that were killed during dictator Moi, but also the ones that were killed during the 2007 post-election violence. And the ones that President Ruto has ordered to be murdered in the streets just the other day. So let us fight for a new revival.
We'll talk about the alternative in just a bit. But Ngunjiri, I'd like to hear your views on what the panelists are saying now. In terms of, you start with the legislator's performance and then you can respond to the allegations made against you.
First, I think because for us to understand the performance of Parliament, we have to begin by asking ourselves, what is the role of Parliament? That is legislation and representation and oversight. In our Parliament, we have the minority and the majority side. We don't have opposition and we don't have government. So in a normal democracy, being a minority and being a majority means that the majority will always have their way. Are you together? And which most of the people out there have been asking questions, oh, why did Parliament pass this? Why did Parliament assent, or rather propose this? Why did Parliament proceed to do this? But Parliament, as we have it, is a number of politicians who are elected by the people from particular political parties. And when it comes to voting, when it comes to passing agendas, they vote and they determine their, the position of Parliament through the positions of the parties that they represent in that Parliament. So as we sit here, let us avoid being emotional and tell Kenyans the truth, that in the setting of the political infrastructure we have, in as much as there exists a clear chance for parliamentarians to listen to the people and act based on the interest of the people. But the reason why you have a government and Parliament is an arm of the government, and the main agenda of government is to formulate and make sure that public policy works. That is the decisions that this government will make towards the people. So laws, decisions, pronouncements, decrees, whatever it is that happens in Parliament is part of public policy. And that is why in our representative democracy, we entrust those parliamentarians the opportunity to do what they need to do.
Okay. But have they performed to your expectation?
It is,
Many laws.
it is for the people of Kenya, based on those 3 roles that I have mentioned, to determine if the member of parliament of their constituency has performed as per the expectations. But if you ask me as a Kenyan, I will say that there exists a very big complexity to balance between the concerns of whatever Kenyans are saying on social media, and on the ground, and the position of the political parties that you represent.
Okay.
Because there are some things that are necessary, but they are not desirable. And sometimes what is desirable might not be necessary. So it's a very tricky balance. And because I would want to join parliament at some point in my career, my political career, I think that as a parliamentarian, the best that you can do is to balance the interest of the people, and anything you do, do it for the general common good of the people.
Okay.
That is where my position is.
Which is this
And
particular
but
law?
now-
I like where it's going because now we're heading
Which is
towards
this
what
particular
are the
law?
alternatives.
But now,
Actually, that's what-
I want, because all these missiles are sent towards me, so let me respond. I would like to begin with Eric.
Yeah.
I do understand you, and I hear you as much as you speak about, your very strong opinion about how the government is performing and what the government is doing. However, I will tell you this, that in the setting of our political architecture, you can agree with me that the things you're saying, and they are blanket condemnations. For instance, when you say that government is not working and there is nothing that is not going on, there can never be empirical evidence that you can stand with and face Kenyans and tell them nothing is going on in government. So I think you're just using extreme words to try and evoke emotions.
Let him finish.
Let's not be emotional.
It's
But
not
this is the point.
emotions.
No, let
It's
him
not
finish.
emotions.
But this is the point.
It's not a peer.
That's
It's
not even
the same
emotions.
case.
Finish.
It's the same
You
case.
all have the varied opinion.
It's the same
Let
case.
him, let him just finish.
It's the same case.
Yeah.
Because as an informed person, I understand that in a democracy there will exist dissenting opinions. People will say what they
So
want
we are
to say,
not
and that is allowed.
Yeah.
However, I want to tell you, in the same democracy, it doesn't, in whatever you're saying, there is also a lot of silent majority who are not speaking that believe that the government, in the challenges that we have come from, is doing something.
So what would you deem as a proper success?
No.
Just one.
What is this silent?
What is, yeah.
How do you know they're silent? How do you know they're silent
Let
majority?
give him a chance. Give him
The
a chance to speak.
moderator
So
is,
then let's just
Trevor.
take one.
Yes.
Yeah, let's just give us one example of what you think is really working
Of what?
for the government. What is really working
One.
in your view?
I have already told you that one of the most important projects, even for the previous government and this one, is health. All right?
Okay.
Is health. To look at the rollout of that universal healthcare program, look at the number of people, all right, that have been brought into shift
Which
Ruto.
health?
Still ongoing.
The same, is it the same
let him finish,
doctors
let him
that are in the
finish. Let him
strike for
finish.
which health are you
Yes, no,
talking
it's
about?
not about strike.
Let him
See,
finish.
let me tell you.
No, 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 no. You
wait,
cannot strike with a good system.
Let him finish.
Wait,
Let
wait,
him
wait, wait, wait.
But this
Yeah.
is not a
You
government
cannot.
process.
No, let him
Can-
finish.
can-
Apana, no.
Allow
You
him.
cannot.
Allow
Okay,
him
you
to
can, there is no time
Just
can
the same
strike.
way.
There is
No,
good.
hold on. Let's
No,
have
no,
some
no, no,
order
no, no,
here.
no.
Just the same way you
This
have your
is-
chance
this
to
is-
say what
this
you
is
think.
what
If
I
there
want-
is
Say what you
good
think.
system.
Okay,
This
just
is what
let
I
him
want
finish.
you to understand, that as long as we exist in a country that has people who, you know, will always, every day, because of the social changes that we have,
Yeah.
the growth of the economy, the expansion of the economy, the need for more economic inclusion.
All right. Now,
Can-
okay.
can I-
Let
Which
him
growth
conclude.
are
I'll
you
come
talking
to you,
about?
Eric. He's
Yes.
actually addressing you. So
Yeah.
let him conclude, then I'll give you a chance.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So,
Finish
so,
with you.
so when you
Briefly.
when you talk about the doctor strike, I will tell you this, that the Kenya Kwanza administration, all right, has not once, not twice, tried as much as it can to engage these doctors and have a common ground, understand what their needs are, and has even laid the most sensible and the most appropriate
Okay.
programs as per the budget
All right, all right.
to address those
So my
problems.
brother,
Eric, now, Eric, you can respond, yes.
let me lay it down for you. Let me give you the sad and the bad news. Kenya Kwanza government, led by President William Ruto, might not make it to 2027. And remember my words.
What is the alternative?
So,
Accord-
so Trevor,
We,
Yeah,
we,
let-
we,
let-
we,
now- now
we,
he's-
we have
let
a
him now
country,
Yes.
we have a time bomb for a country, and it will explode very soon. Because I've never heard or seen a country where everyone is on strike, literally, as I'm seated here. Airport workers are on strike, doctors are on strike, teachers are on strike, students are on strike. Mama Mboga, Jana were on strike. Schools are burning, children are dying.
So what is the alternative, Eric? You say that if you they might not make it to 2027, what is
Yes.
the alternative?
We are,
Because when the country goes to the dogs,
yes.
we all suffer.
The country will not go to the dogs. And I want to repeat to you, Bwana Gunjiri, if you sit, you're the National Youth Chairperson, so
Yes.
you might be sitting in some of these executive organs. Please ask the president, yeah? Because very soon, I personally will be saying he is not my president. We don't have to go back there. Very soon, please ask your president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto.
he's your president too.
For now. By next week, I'm telling you in the next 1 week, and I've given you a head start. We are going to call upon teachers, doctors, students, taxi drivers, and everyone who's striking
So you're calling for a national
for
demonstration
national
again?
demonstration next Monday.
Okay.
No issue here, Kesho. We are giving the government one week to put things right. Number one, ask the president to stop touring the world. Suluhu Samia, sikumbuke last time alitoka akaenda popote. Paul Kagame, you can mention all of them. Ni nini munafanyanga China na Germany and America kila time? A delegation that the president carries to abroad. Kama ile time walienda America. Do you know how much money they spend? Just let me finish.
Just
Let me
write it
finish.
down.
Let me finish.
Write it down, Gujiri. I'll give you a chance to respond to all of them.
Let me finish. Kenya Kwanza government led by William Samoei Ruto might not get to 2027. I'm repeating that statement.
What was the alternative? We have a 5-year election cycle, Eric.
The only
Because sometimes-
option this government has, there's a reason as to why President William Samoei Ruto fired his cabinet. He's not a madman. He fired his cabinet and they rehired them. It means he did not do what the people told him. The president needs to stop doing what his people are telling him, and he needs to start doing what the people. He's listening to his people, he's not listening to the people.
But our election cycle only comes in 5 years.
Huh?
The next
Trevor,
election is in 2027.
constitutionally, the Constitution says the people shall be represented by the representative. And if the representative of the people are unable to represent the people will represent themselves. And that's where demonstrations come in. And until and unless the government, or the president, fires his cabinet again, dissolves the parliament, he will not have peace, he will not govern. Wait and see.
Trevor,
Okay, Nyokabi,
Okay.
let them respond, then you'll talk.
Okay, number one, this government should respect and honor the constitution that we have. It have to empower the youths, you understand? And there is something I want to tell you. MPs can be recalled by the people because right now they're not even representing the people of this country. There is number of unemployments for the youths. And what you can give a Danny to work for airports, but youths to go to Mjengo and creep the Nairobi River. Why is it like that in this government? We have to change and empower the youths with the way we govern them and everything. I guess that's what I can just say for now.
There was a reaction from Booker to you.
Yes,
earlier on,
and that
let's
reaction
respond.
that you're saying about our deputy president, I want to ask you a single question. Okay, which MP have you seen, let's say for example, or any CS, like the other day, they were doing census of the fish. How was it even conducted in the Indian Ocean? Walikuwa wanaambia toka ingia, and how many fishes do we have? Another thing, yesterday I guess you saw what happened. The only person is with these business people, business community people, and also the youth and everything. Gachagua is the one who is fighting drugs for our youth to have a bright future. Gachagua is the one who is coming up for even the Juakali and this minor and Mama Mboga. And that is not even his standard. But he's saying like the people who are supposed to represent them, they are not doing their work. And right now saying that people, I want to ask you a question. Which church did Moi go? I mean Kenyatta go? I want to ask you that question. He went to Catholic. Which church did Moi went? He went to AIC church, right? Uhuru Kenyatta. Right now, there is something I want to ask you. Which church, if you ask, William Samuel Ruto goes, what will you say? If you don't have God in you, you came, lied in the name of God and everything. Okay. How can you even have that human? Yes.
Let her finish.
Yes.
I think she's finished. Yeah.
I am not done with
Let her
you.
finish 1 minute.
Because right now, okay, the person that I'm not done. There is something that you asked me about the Gachagua, the corruption and stuff like that. Okay, does he have that case now? Does he have? He doesn't. So right now, there is something I want to tell you, and this is the only person that we are seeing, at least he's giving hope at least to the youth, to Mama Mboga, to everyone. At least he's the only person that we can say have a good interest at heart for the people.
Okay, and
yes.
Buka, you see, this is what I was talking about earlier on. Is there a unified thought process for the youth to bring on change, and how does that change really look like? And be careful of what the statements you make on this live television show, because they can be subject to litigation. But is there a general idea for the youth that this is what our common cause is, this is what we're rallying behind? Because even right here on this panel, it's the same youth category, very different views of who the leaders and what the leaders should do.
Yeah, Trevor, I think some people joke too much, especially when we say that if somebody just says he's a man of God, then he will lead us well. I think the person who has politicized the character of God and the church is none other than President William Samoei Ruto. And he has come out as the worst head of state. So we cannot anchor the quality of leadership on the religiosity of non-religiosity. We have seen how that has affected us in this country when people are mobilized through Christian and religious rhetoric. It's important for us to say that. And also, we did not, every time we say that, we did not go to the streets to parade our bodies to die for a few corrupt people to take political power. In fact, the reason why we are angry at the opposition at this time is that the opposition has cut deals on the bodies of the dead comrades that were martyred and murdered in the streets. That is why we are angry. And we are not saying that, again, we are going to the street for season 2, for people to try and reclaim that victory in the name of Gachagua himself. The Kenyan population now know who the enemy is. And we must direct their anger to that enemy. The enemy are a few rich billionaires that have made money not through business, but they have made money through cutting deals. They have made money through brokers. They have made money without running any industry, and then hijacked our political processes to defend their ill-gotten wealth. Gachagua fits there very well. And I don't think any Kenyan person will doubt that. This whitewashing that happened when Kenya Kwanza gotten into government, where the most corrupt people in Kenya Kwanza were actually absolved from prosecution, we cannot tell them that now those things absolve them. But let me go quickly to the question you have asked, because it is the most important question. This government has continued to threaten us that if it falls, there will be anarchy in the streets, that will go the Sudan way, that will go, you know, the Egypt way during the Arab Spring. The biggest threat to anarchy in this country is President William Samoei Ruto. Because if he's a person that wants stability in this country, then he should resign with a clear roadmap to elections. Because he has lost legitimacy. Nobody, in fact, the only thing that is sustaining President William Samoei Ruto is organized violence of the state. He has no popular support from the people. So if this Kenya Kwanza government want to say that we are the threat to the anarchy, we would like President to honorably resign with a clear roadmap to an election and let him go to actually face the electorate. And we will see if he will go there.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the people who have gone to the street has also, the state propaganda has been that we are a bunch of anarchists. We are only mere protesters. But we are reconsolidating in the streets. Yeah. Remember, since the street protest stopped, the popular initiative to do political education and civic education, in fact, we are saying now we do not just want influence. We do not want to ask President William Samoei Ruto to implement things. We are intentional. We are mobilizing the Kenyan people to seek political power, to actually implement a popular pro-people initiative that will sweep off President William Samoei Ruto and this ilk anytime the election is held. Now, why is he threatened? Why is he, another reason why President William Samoei Ruto is a threat to this country's stability? He has refused to appoint IEBC, but he thinks that that will help us, to retain him in power. Once his government finally falls, they are able. We have lost some of the finest sons and daughters of Kenyans in the streets, and some of them are still supplied in the street to lead this country. So we are capable to implement a pro-people program. And for a fact, you have seen the National Coordination Committee of People's Assembly mobilizing People's Assembly in the entire country to unveil a popular political instrument that will take political power within the constitution and drive the national agenda, which is the construction of the Kenya National Project.
Okay.
So we do not lack leaders in this country.
All right.
And the people who are a threat to the constitution and a threat to stability of this country are the people who continue to rob Kenyans. Okay. And finally, very, very finally, the people, first of all, Trevor, we don't like to go to the streets. Some people want to create a wrong impression in their head that we just wake up in the morning and we sit in our houses and today we say it's street day. Then we go there. We are going to the street with our daily realities. Because after all, even if you don't go to the street, majority of the Kenyans are dying at home, starving to death of lack of food under President William Samoei Ruto. They have sick parents. They have sick sons and daughters. These sick people cannot access health care, even though Ngujiri wants to come on TV and tell us that there is universal health care. In fact, Ngujiri and the Kenya Kwanza government is helping us to mobilize the Kenyan population through repeated lies in the media, while these people knows very well there is nothing like universal health care. In fact, Adani group of companies that is under attack at the airport is also the people that are meant to run this debunked healthcare system that President William Samoei is implementing. So every time the president speaks and his henchmen like Ngujiri, they help us to raise public anger and mobilize the people in the streets, because they keep on to lie that you cannot sustain. For example, if you say that the Kenyan people have access to housing, well, we know the biggest demolition campaign that has been taken by Kenya Kwanza government has swept the entire people that were living 20 meters off the Nairobi River, the Perian, to living in the streets. Now, if you tell us today that these people are accessing affordable, how much will they be annoyed? So I will try to warn them that let them continue to help us mobilize people on the street, and we will not spare them.
Okay, Ngunjiri, let's now turn the mirror to ourselves as young people. What next for young people now? Because there's people who support, the people who don't support. So that's a given. You will never agree on that. There are those who support and those who don't.
Yes.
But what can the young people now do going forward to forge a better future for themselves?
Yes. Okay, first of all, just allow me very quickly to just respond.
Briefly.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Eric, the president does not go to these countries for leisure. He goes for serious government business, and there is empirical evidence to show that there have been gains from those visits. I heard you say, actually, Samia Suluhu was in Ukraine, in Poland the other day. Kagame has just come from China for the Africa-China summit. So these presidents understand not just foreign policy, but they know the benefits that comes from those, bilateral agreements. But still, on you, I would really want to understand how you have come to a conclusion that the Kenya Kwanza administration could not go to 2020. Are you planning on overthrowing the government?
No, the government.
What is your plan?
The government.
You'll respond. Just write it down.
On that very same point,
I'll respond on that.
the president of Kenya has a mandate from the people of Kenya, and by majority votes, by the total vote cast in the last election, to deliver on a particular job that he continues to do. And I think in 2027, it is Kenyans to judge whether he's performed or not. I also want to comment on the growing culture of, people, and with all due respect to activists, I have a lot of respect to people who are in the activism field, people who are always critiquing government, people who are opposed to government ideologies. But I ask of us to be patriotic enough wherever we have policies, and that would come even with the number of court cases and litigations that the activism community has taken the government to court on. Some of these ideas are ideas that would change this economy. But because of certain interferences, some of which are not even from within our country, foreign interferences, we find ourselves in a fight on rather projects and policies that would benefit us as
The
a
country.
community.
So what next for
But
young
now,
people?
for the
You
young
said that
people,
you want to run for office, right?
yes, for the young people,
Where are you running for office?
in my county, in Murang'a County,
As a what?
as a member of parliament.
Okay. So it means there are gaps you've seen there already.
Yes,
So then they have not performed as you said that they're supposed to perform.
yes,
Because
yes.
otherwise then you wouldn't want to run.
yes. So
But
as
you just said that they've done well.
this is what I told you. It is for the people to judge whether their member of parliament has performed or not. And that is why I said, as a voter as well, I also have my personal opinions on whether my MP has performed or not. But for
So
the
what
young
next
people of
for young
Kenya,
people? Yes.
because I represent the young people, this is what I will tell them, that we have a country that will go beyond this administration and so many other administrations that will come. I was in Tanzania a few weeks ago, and I met the former president of Tanzania, President Kikwete. And there's something he told me. When they were forming that political party called CCM, they had a dream in their socio ideology, ujamaa, that there will come a time when the politics of Tanzania will be firm and steadily within a political party.
Okay.
The problem that we have as young people in this country, and which I think my generation has to plant as a seed, in as much as we will have people critiquing what the government is doing, we must rethink as young people and decide that tribal politics has no position in our politics now and in the future.
Okay.
But that is
All
what
right.
the boss
The problem
Yeah.
that we face is one,
Yeah.
and the threat that we face is one. We have a lot of young people in this country who are persuaded that, yes, we can unite as young people and move forward and at least kill this tribal politics. However, whenever we try to have a conversation about the young people,
Yeah.
devoid of, the politics, the toxic
tribal
politics
alliances.
that we have in the tribal alliances,
Yes.
the same young people will retreat to their tribes. And that is why
Yeah.
I want to tell
Why was the movement called
my friend
tribalists?
Rachel here.
I'm not
Your
Rachel.
Sorry.
Dorcas.
Dorcas, sorry. I want to tell you that I have never supported any idea that seeks to validate politics on the basis of sectarian political divides.
Okay.
Very true.
I have stood, and I can be quoted as having said that this unity call, I don't know, from Mount Kenya, from this other region, is a politics that will continue timing us on the same tribal politics
Okay.
that we try to run
The
away
backward
from.
politics.
And
of
I
this
say
side.
that
Yeah.
knowing very well
Yeah.
that I come from a community that has a lot of numbers when it comes to voting.
Okay.
So I'm not selfish,
Okay.
and that is why I would be calling on the young people,
Yeah.
instead of us being seen as anarchists who do not want peace and who want to always cause trouble,
Yeah.
we take up an idea that is worthy the cause of our generation,
Okay.
like Fanon said,
And that
and our
idea-
mission
Yes.
should be,
Yeah.
it should not be to destabilize government. Because, Eric, if today you destabilize activities in Nairobi,
Mujiri,
Yeah.
Mujiri,
you
just-
rely on, no,
It's okay,
you,
it's
you
okay.
rely on the system to
Mujiri,
function.
I'm
Okay.
trying to-
So
I want to
we
take-
should take that
Yes.
mission
We're running out of time.
of fighting
You've had your
tribal
time.
politics
Yes.
as our cause
That's
as a
fine.
generation,
Okay. So
not
the
of
young
anarchy.
people, this idea that Mujiri is raising as a young people, we're talking about what next for young people.
So this
you, for example, have started an initiative
Yes.
to lower the number of counties. So what is your plan? I asked
so-
you
so
what is
my
running
plan-
for office. Are you running for office? Let's start from
My plan, we will all run for office.
Yes.
All of us, all young people run for office.
Okay.
I'm going to look at the camera. This is my plan or my suggestion to the young people.
Yeah.
Ensure you have a national ID.
Right.
Ensure you have a voter's card. Yeah. We are currently, I was in Mombasa a few days, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We had over 5,000 young people at Tononoka grounds. And my message was simple. We are going to take back our country.
Okay.
I asked them 5 times, are you ready to take back your country? Yes. Are you ready to take back your country? Yes. We want to see MCAs and governors and MPs. We are going to wipe out every single member of parliament who voted yes, first of all. And my suggestion was that we need to do away with every member of parliament, apart from a few who we can see are trying, like the Babu Winners of this world. They're standing with the people, they're voicing the people's concerns. Young people should start seeing themselves, those who are listening to me this morning, as leaders. Because President William Samoei Ruto will be, or is the last of his generation.
Will they escape the tribal cocoon that Gujiri?
I told them also,
fighting
Trevor,
that.
I also told them, let me finish. I also told the young people at Tononoka that if we get to 2027, January or February, and our parents, mothers and fathers and grandparents, are still talking in terms of mtu wetu. Mimi nitapigia huyu kura juu ni wa Siaya. Juu ni wa nini? I don't know. We are citizens, I don't want any litigations. I asked young people, hizo nini zitapotea? Me, my mother's ID itapotea. Atasema, ID yangu ilikuwa hapa ya, iko wapi utis? See, wallet yangu inaenda wapi? Yeah, it will disappear. Because most of the problems we're having now, it's a generational problem. Our parents were a generation were a tribal generation. And Trevor, tulikuwa na Jomo Ginga Odinga, Jomo Kenyatta, you know, the freedom fighters. I'm finishing.
Let me finish.
I'm finishing.
Write it down and give you a chance.
I'm finishing. The freedom fighters, the Build That Kagias, they gave us freedom. The Matakaruas walikuja wakatupea second liberation. Matakarua nao watu najua kina Mingo Magara. Right now, generation ya hawa watu imeisha. And that's why hawana favor. And Ruto is the last. By 2027, organically, naturally, there's a new generation of leaders, ndio hawa hapa. They will take over. And that's why unaona youths are not, and do not take the silence of young people and Jay-Z's for granted. And I want to answer your question. On we're not going to overthrow.
Very briefly, because we're running out of
Yes,
time.
we're not going to overthrow this government. This government will overthrow itself.
Okay.
It will overthrow itself.
Okay.
That's number one. Since 1963, tumekuwa na Jomo Kenyatta, tumekuwa na President Moi, tumekuwa na Kibaki, tumekuwa na Uhuru. There has never been a single day that young people took over the national parliament. Na wakaingia na wakakaa kwa kiti ya speaker. And that's what I'm telling you. Your government might not make it to 2027. Okay. If you're smart, you know
right.
what I'm talking about.
Dorcas, what next for young people?
Okay, next for young people.
Are you also running for office, by the way?
Yes, I'm running for Women Rep, Laikipia County.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I also want to urge every youth should take identity card and should vote.
Okay.
Not just only taking the identity card, you should vote. Another thing, we should stop being tribalism. We should be one, and we become one as a country, and let's not stay unuauku, this one is from here. We are one, and we are fighting on. Our goal is to fight only one thing: this regime to go, and this generation, like to break this generational pattern that we have in this country, and let's youths advocate for themselves for good governance, accountability, and management of public offices and everything. Let's not misuse anything. So youths, tuchukue any ID, and not only tuchukue ID, let's swipe everything that is not good for us.
Okay.
This is our future, this is our country.
Yes.
This one, hawakui wazee wachukuliwe wanini, wanakuwa wazee waende, na ni sisi tuko. So let's take the ID and let's vote.
Okay. Buka, are you running for office?
Definitely.
Where?
Member of Parliament, Game constituency.
Game.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's important that the young people that were in the street are intentional about taking political power. And we are taking political power because the people that we have asked to implement the policies that are pro-people have failed. So that is why, even under the National Coordination Committee of People's Assembly, what we are doing is to start a deliberate pro-people popular initiative to mobilize the country against this dictatorship that exists today. Why I call it a dictatorship is that if the same constitution that actually have placed you in the office is the very constitution that you have violated 50 times, then you are illegitimate. If you come, for example, Trevor, I tell you, be my friend, and our friendship is based on certain promises. Then the following day, you turn around your promises and start to lie more. In that case, our friendship has violated. So the same social contract that was signed by the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto with the Kenyan people has been violated severally, and nobody cares about Kenya Kwanza anymore. Now, what we are doing now is just surviving as we continue to fight this illegitimate government. It is sad that Mujeri is talking about tribal politics. We were in the street for the first time. There was never tribes in the street. In fact, the popular opinion of the street was tribeless. And the reason why we were saying that we are tribeless is not that we don't come from Luo community or Kikuyu community or Mijikenda community. We were saying that we are tribeless because we were conscious that the political class in this country has used tribe to divide young people and then, pass out a bribery mission to make sure that they can retain themselves in power. Even when we said we were partyless, we were very categorical that we are partyless only to the extent that the political class that we have given, mandate in terms of political parties like, UDA and all that political parties has auctioned us to the highest bidder. So to that extent, we were telling the Kenyan people that we are indeed what? And also, so what we are saying is that the young people are conscious that we want to complete our independence that was fought with our forebearers, that we want Kenya for Kenyans. And we are mobilizing all the democratic forces in Kenya against the political class. And on October 4th, we are going to unveil a national movement in this country. And it's not just a national movement for agitation. It is a national movement that is deliberate about taking political power and advancing the pro-people agenda.
There's a lot of feedback coming through. Let me read the feedback, then I'll come to each and every one of you. Just 1 minute closing remarks each, starting with you, Ngunjiri. No time to respond to people, just give your closing remarks. But let's bring up what you're saying online. Okelo Mwalimu says, Ecclesiastes 3:1, chapter 8 clearly states that there is time for everything. Kenyan youth should know that time for demonstration ended and must therefore shift focus to other alternatives. For instance, we must now encourage them to register as voters en masse in readiness for 2027 polls. Okay? Frank says there's nothing good to report about this regime. This is the most corrupt government since independence. The president has captured all arms of government, parliament, and everything that can be captured. We are doomed. Okay? See what else? Engineer Lazaro says youth should be patriotic to their country. They should stop forming themselves to an alternative opposition instead of being absorbed in various sectors to serve the nation with their energies. Okay? Bob Otieno says President William Ruto has done well 2 years down the line, considering where we were when he took over power, and it took from late President Kibaki 3 years to stabilize the economy. On a scale of 1 out of 10, I give him a 6 out of 10. Okay? Bob says generally the government has performed very badly in governance, economic recovery, health, agriculture, corruption is rife. Kenya is on the dogs. Okay? Sawe says handing over critical government infrastructure to private individuals is a serious failure of leadership. This betrayal of public trust must be called out and recalled, and those responsible held accountable for putting the nation and its citizens at risk. Okay? Tanui says, let me remind Eric and the lady that threats will take them nowhere. As we speak, there's no one on strike. Leadership is not the absence of challenges, but how you resolve them as they come. Eric has no alternative. Okay? Okela again says it's unfortunate that the same youths who've castigated older politicians for incompetence and corruption have started to coalesce around certain people like Rigiji and are heaping praises on him instead of rallying behind youthful alternatives like Morara.
No,
let's be serious.
Yes.
Dixon says Adani is a classical example of failure of our MPs when legislators decide to join executive instead of oversight role. How many dubious laws have been thrown out by court because of failure to meet the constitutional threshold? Last one here says, Eric says, while our conversation is important, I believe we might be focusing on the wrong issues right now. Instead of just evaluating the current regime's performance, let's shift our discussion to the pressing issues affecting our country today. Ngujiri, 1 minute closing remarks.
To the people of Kenya and the young people listening to us today, from their towns, their villages, the last man in the last village, I will confidently tell you that President William Ruto is a listening president. And that is why after the protests, however brutal and savage they were, he listened and took action on them, and he exemplifies an example of a leader who listens to his people. But
1 minute.
Finally,
no response,
as
1
I
minute.
finish,
Yes.
this is what I will say, that as young people, we have had a very, very, very bad reputation of always being seen as anarchists.
Okay.
You know, people who are not here to provide solutions, but to lament, to castigate with no alternative.
All right.
I will ask my co-panelists today that instead of us wanting to doom this country and bring this country down, just because we want to achieve certain ends, we should be patriotic enough to get one mission, like I have said.
Okay.
And that mission should not be anarchy, should not be being tribalist, should not be always emptying our grievances on the streets,
fine.
destroying property.
That's it.
But it should be, one, fighting tribal politics, registering as voters,
that's it.
running for
Buka,
office.
1 minute closing remarks.
Yeah. What I will tell the Kenyan people that anything that the poor people in this country, that the Kenyan working class has gotten in this country has been a product of the struggle. We did not plead with the white colonial empire to leave our country. We actually took arms under the Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi to make sure that the white colonial empire was defeated hands-on. We did not plead with dictator Moi to leave power. We actually mobilized the Kenyan people to take their own part in their own hands. And we did not plead even to get the Constitution of 2010. We had several finest daughters and sons of Kenya martyred in the streets to make sure that this 2010 Constitution that now makes us heroes exist. We must not plead with Kenya Kwanza government. In fact, we must put more pressure, hold them responsible, and tell them that they're illegitimate. And in actual sense, mobilize the Kenyan people around the National Coordination of People's Assembly to discuss real issues. And this is not anarchism, this is patriotism. To protect our national assets like JKIA, it's patriotism. To protect our young Kenyans and nurses and doctors from being auctioned abroad is patriotism.
Okay.
To defend the blood of Alex Masai and all the 47 comrades that were murdered in parliament. This is patriotism. So what we are saying is that all democratic forces must be united against the hegemony of William Samoei Ruto and his newfound brother Raila Amolo Odinga to advance the people's process to take political power and actually implement a pro-people program.
Okay, Nyukavi, 1 minute, closing remarks.
Okay, I would like to urge all the youths to take their ID cards and vote, because when we went to the street, everything that we did not to go on the train, because it was hijacked already. So it's not the end of the road. Let us mobilize and vote coming 2027, and let's not be tribalists. Let's be one tribalists, and let's vote according to the capacity and the real reasons for voting the real leaders. Okay. Thank you.
Eric.
Just to reiterate, if you're a young person listening to me, make sure you start thinking of yourself as a leader. Make sure you have your national ID, and please mutupatie vitambulisho tafadhali. Hiyo game unacheza, it's too basic, tunaiona. Do not delay people's national identity cards. Yeah? Young people should take leadership. I will take leadership. You guys should take leadership. The intention, the idea is to wipe out an entire generation. And as I told you, President William Ruto will be the last of his generation. Your generation ikienda hivyo. Naturally, organically. So young people, make sure that you have a voter's card. And in 2027, you will not believe. It is, in naive nicely, the anger. You will not believe. Okay. We are going to have internet on all polling stations. We're going to have Gen Zs and young people live on Instagram, TikTok. Amutaiba. Tuta-install Wi-Fi. Mimi nitakuja na simu yangu, unakuja na yako, unaweka internet hapo, unasema, hapa Githunguri kumaribika, hapa Murang'a wanaiba. This digital thing, we are going to organize. Wacha na Citizen peke yake. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Kuna gari ya blue imeingia. Young people.
Subaru.
Amutaiba.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Kiri Komuli activist, Dorcas Nyukavi, governance commentator, Buka Omole, National Vice Chair, Communist Party of Kenya, Kariuki Ngunjiri, National Youth Leader, UDA. Thank you all for speaking to us this morning as young people, and we wish you all the best in your political careers. All right. Coming up next is, who's here? Bensu. Yes, Bensu is here on the decks. And DJ Steno. All right. See you in just a bit.